I guess it's saving to the web. So we have assessment coming up for the college as part of our accreditation, which you guys have all been receiving those emails about. They do want all of faculty, residential and adjunct, to submit an assessment of our student groups before May 15th. But if you need a little bit of extra time, let us know. So you can email me and I can forward that on, or you can email Debbie Webster and Amy Marin and just copy me on it, that you need a little extra time, especially with our classes being extended to the 22nd, I believe is the last date for our meeting patterns. If you need a little more time to grade and get your data assembled, we just need to give them an extended date request. But if you can get it in by the 15th, that's preferred. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So the ILOs have changed. I know that we've talked about that kind of throughout this whole academic year, that we have new ILOs. We put the new ILOs in the syllabus for this semester, so that students could see what it is we were assessing them on. And so to get to the new ILOs, we'll start at the Phoenix College home page, and we'll click on employees. And on the employee page over to the right, there's an assessment link. So it's under the application side on the far right. We'll click on assessment. And this page talks to us about the new assessment, or the new ILOs that Phoenix College is utilizing. There's newsletters over here to the left, and if you want to see who's on the committee, you can get that information also. But essentially, we all need to be assessing the learning, and we have 6 ILOs, and each of these ILOs have rubrics within them that we can utilize. So when I visualize this new ILO system, I kind of see it visually as an upside down triangle, kind of like that, where first we have all of our ILOs, then we pick an ILO and we choose which rubric we want to use. Then we take that rubric and we embed it into an assessment, and then we can submit the data. So it starts out this really big, broad, scary looking thing, and it tapers into the point of submission of our data. If we scroll down a little bit more, we have a PC assessment Canvas course. So if you're not in that yet, you can get in that and you can get some more information on it. This CAP user guide is what I'm going to utilize today. So on that assessment page on Phoenix College, you'll scroll down and there's download CAP user guide. And so this is a big 30-page scary document. So that's why I'm saying, like, that first line feels scary, but it's really not. In this user guide, it does explain why we're doing assessment of our students, that we're going to pick an assessment and submit that for capturing data with the college, and how they're going to utilize that in the future. Right now, what we can do is use this data for our students to see if our assessments are fulfilling their role. If we have a lot of students scoring low, then we know we maybe need to modify that assessment so that we can either clarify the terms for our students, enhance our instructional components so that the students are developing those skills we're assessing. So you can use the same assignment semester to semester, but if it needs modifications, you can kind of tweak it. And then when you get it to where your students are scoring on that high end, you can pick a new ILO and look at something else. You can also use this assessment for multiple assignments. So we're asking that you submit at least one, but if you want to submit multiples, that's okay too. So the first thing you have to do is pick your topic. We have specialized knowledge, broad and integrative knowledge, intellectual skills, applied and collaborative learning, civic and global learning, and personal responsibility and development. So within each of those, there are a lot of rubrics. So you've picked your category, now you're going to select your rubric, and then it just tells you after you select your rubric, then you're going to enter the data in. So on page 4 of this CAP document, it has the ILO and then the rubric. So you can see the rubric options are what's a little bit intimidating. So what I do is I pick my assignment and I look at my current rubric, and then I go to these rubric options and I see if my rubric can kind of filter into it so I don't have to create something from scratch. So all of these number letter combinations are the rubrics on the following pages. On page 5 is where it starts explaining what each of these ILOs mean. So we have specialized knowledge rubrics, and then it gives a description of what we're looking for with that particular topic. And then it lists the rubrics and their titles. And I jump right to the rubrics myself because I want to see what the different measurements are. So even though it says inquiry analysis on existing knowledge, research, and views, I don't really know in details if that's applicable to me. So if you keep going down, then it gets into the actual rubric. And these rubrics are scored on a 1 to 4 level. There is no 0. So a student cannot score a 0 on this particular scale for any rubric. So they have to at least be at minimal proficiency. And it gives you a little description for each one. Now, some of these, they're not really applicable for what we're teaching, and that's okay. That's why you can pick whichever ILO and whichever rubric you want as long as you're integrating them. So I'm going to show my emerging technology assignment that I utilized for this purpose. So on my emerging technology, students are assigned in pairs, and I'm giving them suggestions of topics on emerging dentistry, and they have to work as a team to create a presentation that they give to the class, and then they have to participate in feedback to their peers' submissions. So there's a lot of little components that make up their 30 points. So what I did is I looked at my current rubric and I just integrated 1A into there. So the first part of their assignment is organization and understanding of their topic. And I tell them, these are the things you have to do to hit your 10 points. And then I've integrated rubric 1A. And they have no idea what that 1A means. That's just so that when I'm going through and entering my data, I don't have to go back and look for my rubric. So when I'm finished grading students, I can just go right to the input tool and I can go through each student and say, oh, 1A, this is what they got. This is what that student got, and go real quick through it. So when I look at the 1A, that's inquiry analysis, existing knowledge, research, and views. And I copy and pasted the words from this particular rubric inside of my existing rubric. So where it says incorporates in-depth information from relevant sources representing various points of view. And even though mine is a 10 scale, 10 is number 4 on their scale. And then I did 8 as number 3 and 4 as number 2 and 2 as number 1. So in my modification of it, I can still use this rubric for 1A, but I did have to tweak it slightly to fit my particular assignment. I also changed one word. So it says synthesizes in-depth information, and I felt like students wouldn't understand what I was wanting them to do. So I did change that particular word to incorporates, so that when the students were reading the rubric on what I expected of them, they wouldn't be like, synthesizes, that's a really that's an intimidating word. What does Ms. Dila want? So I just softened the wording a little bit, because there are some words in the rubrics that can be intimidating for our students. So I did tweak some of the words just a little bit. Inside the same assignment, I'm also assessing 3L. So again, I just put my little notation on what rubric I was using. And If I go over here to 3L on the CAP assessment guide, we're getting there. Facilitating team interaction. So this is the component of the assignment where I want to see if they're engaging with one another, if they're supporting their teammates, if they're working as a group. And so again, I took the wording that was inside of this rubric, and then I just copied and pasted it inside of my assignment. And I highlighted the words that would cause them to decrease their scoring for it. So that way they were aware of what it was I was looking for. Sometimes when the students are reading these rubrics, when the words are identical, they have a hard time kind of differentiating what gives them a 6 versus what gives them an 8 or a 10. So I did kind of bold up some letters so they knew what it was I was looking for. So that's how easy it is to take or to find your rubric and then incorporate it in. So the rubrics, it takes a little bit of time to get used to what it is they're looking at. And like I said, not every rubric applies to us. But go through and kind of think about the assignments you have. Even some, I mean, I don't know how well it would work, but you might even have some assignments that are auto-graded multiple choice that you could possibly use rubrics for. But I always try to do more fill in the blank assignments or team-oriented assignments. And if we're in a clinical setting, you can still use these rubrics. So there are teamwork rubrics that I've used for Coronal Polish before when they assess their peers. So if you're in a clinical course, you can also submit rubrics. We won't focus on that this semester though, but for upcoming semesters, if you're teaching only in a clinical course, we'll still want you to provide assessment on the students in that clinical setting. Okay. Are there questions so far? Okay. So now yes, you can unmute yourself. Let me see if I can do it over here. Okay.
Okay, so moving forward from here, we're going to be doing an assessment in every class that we teach, right? Is that what I'm getting? Okay. Just wanted clarification.
So in this semester, you're doing at least one assessment. But moving forward, for every single course that you teach, you want to be doing one assessment a semester.
Right. Perfect.
For our courses, or at least for dental assisting, it would be one every 8 weeks, ideally.
But is it per course per semester? So let's say normally I would be teaching 3 courses in a semester. So my 112, my 156, and radiography. So I'd be submitting an assessment for 112, an assessment for 156, and an assessment for radiography, correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I'll mute myself.
So now we've looked at the CAP guidelines, we've picked our rubric, or we've picked our ILO, we've picked our rubric, and then we've incorporated it into an assessment. So the next step is giving the students the assessment and then grading them. For me, it is easier grading them on an assessment with the scoring already broken down how I have to input it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So last semester, the assignment I submitted did not have scoring like this. And it took me about 20 minutes to go through each student's assignment and see what their grade was, and then determine where they fit on that 1 to 4 scale. But if you already have your rubric set up like this before you give it to the students, then all it is you grade it and then directly input the data. So once it's graded, then you're going to go back to the Phoenix College homepage, or to the Phoenix College assessment page. And underneath where you downloaded the CAP user guide, there's a link for you to enter your scores. So we're using Qualtrics software. You do not have to put student-specific data in. So that's a really big plus for us. At least not at this time. So using Qualtrics is very quick and easy. You enter your name, your last name, email address, what term we're working in, and then asking if we're faculty. It's asking that because there's also non-faculty submitting assessments as well. Then we click next and it'll ask for department, course name, and section. So we are dental, and then you'll enter the course name and then the section. Right. I'm questioning my section. 2910. Okay. And then you do have to upload the assignment. So whatever assignment you're using for assessment, you have to put it in here. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I also copy and pasted from the rubric, so that it would be more clear whenever they're analyzing the data and connecting the dots as to which rubric I used and where I got the scoring from. Then you'll enter in the name of your assignment. And then which ILO. So because my assignment has 2 ILOs in one assignment, I'm actually going to submit this twice. So the first time I submit it, I'll be using my 1A rubric, and the second time I submit it, I'll be using my 3L. So it will want you to know which rubric you used for the assignment. And then you'll go to next. And then you enter in which rubric. So 1A. And then you just go through and enter where your students scored. So we have 18 students, which would mean we'd have 18 lines. You don't, like I said, you don't have to enter student specific data. You just click the dot as to where they scored. And then at the end, you'd click next and it would submit. I am not going to submit mine because it would be false data, but because my students haven't submitted it yet. So that's all you have to do. And then if you're doing multiple rubrics, you just go through the same process over and over again until all your rubrics have been entered. So that's assessment. Super easy. Sorry, you're all looking at yourself there, Leanne. Do you guys have questions on the rubrics, how to enter things in? No? Okay. Like I said, if you need the extension from the May 15th, you're going to email Amy and Debbie. So you can get their contact information from the assessment page. When you go there, if you need their last names or if you can't find them in your email or something, you can always ask and I can shoot their names over to you. But they're also listed on the assessment committee list if you're needing to get their names. But they have sent out quite a few emails too, so I'm sure you can find them. So it's Amy, oops. Let me spell it right for you. Amy Marin and Debbie Webster is Deborah. Oh my gosh. I have my meeting screen over here and I can't see my chat box. Here we go. So there's the 2 names in case you need to email them. And then if you're in dental assisting, just copy me on that. And if you're in hygiene, copy Carrie so that we know you're submitting and that you're getting the extension there. Right.
It's going to be DA4 like you put in. So I'm not putting in like my course name.
So my course, right, because the actual course that you're loaded in
is DA4.
Yours is DA2 because you're in 156. Yeah.
Okay.
So the actual title of the course is what you want to put in, not your module.
Okay. Do I just say DA2 or DA2 or DAE and also put in DAE 156 or no?
No, you don't have to do that. You can just say dental assisting 2.
Okay.
Because they'll be able to get the abbreviated course from the section number.
Section number, right.
Yeah. The section number pulls it in. Now, keep in mind that you are required to submit the data, but that data is not going to be used against you for evaluation purposes. So if your students aren't scoring well on an assessment, that's something to make you aware to modify that assessment in the future semesters. But we aren't going to pull that up and say, oh my gosh, your students are doing horribly. Let's look at you. It's a tool for you to see what you need to do to modify your courses. So that was something that faculty, I guess, have expressed concern with in the past, that if their students are scoring low on these assessments, can it be used against them? And we're not using the data for that. We're using the data to see continuous improvement of our courses and our lessons.
Okay.
Okay. Some point in the future, we may modify this to where you do have to input student data and then we can connect all the dots. But right now, that's all it's used for, is for you to look at how your assignment is being received and how students are performing on those assignments or experiences if it's a clinical experience. Okay. All right. If nobody has questions, then that's pretty much it.
When will the recordings be up?
As soon as the recording finishes, so it really depends on the internet for the day. For a 30-minute recording, it'll probably be available in about an hour.
Okay, and so I apologize. I had an emergency, so I came in late, so I missed everything at the beginning. So we have, this is considered a 30-minute session, so should it be up sometime today for the recording?
Yes, I will send an email out to the department and I'll attach the link to the recording.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. Then as soon as the recording is all completed in my WebEx, I will send out the link in case you need to go back and review it. If, as you're doing your ILOs, you're struggling with finding which ILO to use, let me know. I'm on this assessment committee, so I'm pretty familiar with all of them and how they can be incorporated in. So if you need help selecting one, just let me know. If you're struggling with putting in data, again, let me know. I'm here to support you in this and, make sure you have the tools and resources you need. So don't hesitate to ask if you're confused on anything.
One quick question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
One quick question that I had is, does it have to be an assessment that they're doing online right now, or could it be something that we've done in the past, such as a presentation with their poster board and going over different types of pathology?
So it would have to be something that has been graded this semester. So you can absolutely pick something if you taught in the 212 course, because I'm thinking, are you in 212, Heidi? Oh, you're in 212 clinic.
I'm in radiography and mod 2 of 256.
Okay.
Pathology.
Yeah, and then we were in 212. So, I mean, you could even, if you wanted to do 212 to assess them on an in-person something, you did some of those assessments. For us, and if you need anything from the local drive that you need me to email you that maybe you don't have access to, let me know and I can pull that data from the local drive on campus. But it does have to be something from this semester.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I modified my emerging tech assignment for this semester, and that's how I was able to pull in another ILO. I always have a little visitor pop in.
Adorable.
So yeah, each semester it'll be from that current group.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
No, thank you so much for doing this, because reading that material was so intimidating that I'm like,
yeah, that's what a lot of people have said. And that's even what I said on the committee. I'm like, people are going to kind of have a heart stop moment when they see a 30-page document.
yeah.
But it's really like this downward triangle. You use just one step at a time. It's 30 pages because we have so many possible rubrics. And there was no way to cut it down. If we cut down the number of rubric options, we were really limiting the faculty from using what best works for their content. And so the only way to really make sure the faculty had their choice in how they assessed the student, we had to leave it that thick. But it's an intimidating document.
Yeah, I was right there with you,
Thank you
Heidi.
so much.
Hopefully it doesn't feel intimidating now, though.
You're working on it.
Perfect.
You have a wonderful weekend.
Y'all too. We'll talk to you later.
All right,
Later.
thank you, Christy.
Bye.
Christy,
Bye.
bye.